Hello and welcome to the Dare Dudes. I'm Izzy.
I'm Giant Rocca, and somewhere in the world, where Oswaldo is Giant E.
I'm Big Blue
Big,
Izzy.
Big Blue E. Big Blue Izzy. Not so sure I would have went with that name, but hey, to each his own.
Leave it to the mind in the gutter. To now, we have had a what? How many days, give or take? Look at that. Very nice.
Literally a week.
Literally a week to the day of the draft. Welcome, E. Um,
This one's better. This one's better.
I got the,
Autographed, autographed by himself, Matt Bradshaw.
well, of course. Now you got an autograph. You got to bring it up. Izzy's got to bring his doll up. Bring your toy up. Bring your Funko toy. The LT Funko. Pop. Okay. Still, yes, it has been a week since round one of the NFL draft 2025. And all of us here participating in this panel are diehard, true blue Giant fans. So we're here to recap what we thought about the Giants draft
indeed.
with a side dish of
Shedur Sanders.
the inescapable topic of the day. I don't think anybody's more
Oh,
violated for good or bad.
All right. First, let's go around the room. Let's go around and do a. Did you guys like the draft overall?
The Giant draft?
Yes, the draft. Yes, Giants.
no. We're talking about Tampa Bay.
Well, Tampa, I think, of course, we're talking about the Giant draft. I thought the Giant draft was actually quite outstanding.
Outstanding. Interesting.
People can say what they want about trading back into the first round for the quarterback they wanted, but the directive to do that, I thought, was 100. I'm 100% behind that.
Okay.
I can't tell you who to draft because I'm not the GM, but as a fan, they identified who they want. They went back and they got it. You can argue about the price point, what it cost, but if you look the totality of the body of work, I could not be happier.
Okay.
So I A+.
E.
I'm going to go on a rant. The draw.
The floor is yours.
So first off, Izzy and Rocco know my policy. I dislike discussing the year at issues draft
Yeah,
in
you're
terms of grading it because it takes 3 years. But that's what we're here to talk about. I will say the Giants botched the 2022 NFL draft so terribly. Think about it for a second. They had two top 10 picks, one of whom on the offensive line has Evan Neal has not. I think they exercised his 5th-year option. Maybe they didn't. I'm not sure, but he's on the roster right now. I don't. Yeah, no, they didn't. Right?
I did
They're
read.
moving him to guard.
Yes, that's
They're
the.
moving him to guard.
with no
Okay,
option.
with no options. Yeah, that's what I heard. Okay, and Thibodeau has now been relegated to a pass specialist on some plays.
But they did give him the 5th year.
They did because you know what? You put him with Burns and you know and the current draft class and the defense behind them and the linebackers. You know he's going to open up a bit. But the reality is, I started with 2022 was a spectacular failure of Joe Shane, and through that lens, we have to figure out, I think, whether they did well in this draft and whether we can see 3 years down the line with this draft.
Okay. Well,
If we pull E back to 2005 now,
all right. I'm
I
gonna.
don't. I don't think Thibodeau's a top 50. I don't think he's a top 50 defensive lineman.
Who?
That
So,
that's crazy. First of all,
Thibodeau.
I think that you're kind of being a little unfair to Thibodeau. If
He,
there's
he, he was ranked 47th in the NFL, and he only had 38 pressures in 2024.
well,
And how many games do we have?
but that's my whole point. I think more his problem has been his ability to stay healthy more than actual production. Okay. He has produced not as well as he should have for where he was drafted, but I think it's more of a case of not being healthy more than him. Now that he's going to play less snaps, be on specific passing downs, as it seems so far, I think that his chance to be productive, and if not, he's going to get traded. I mean, that's it.
But I understand all that. But today's conversation, we're talking about the Giants draft.
All right. So, yeah,
Fine.
don't disagree.
All right.
Just did you like the draft? That's it.
Your thoughts?
Did
Okay.
you like the draft?
So what they did was they addressed the positions of need mostly. I wasn't thrilled with the tight end. So I think they're okay there. Did they need to take a tight end in what, the 6th round?
7.
I don't think so. They could have got him. They could have gotten a tight end on the 7th round. They could have gotten a tight end in free agency as an undrafted free agent. I hope they get some value there. They got their edge rusher right next to Burns. You know, I think Carter's going to be potentially generational. They moved up and got Jackson Dart. I like that. I mean, it remains to be seen whether it was worth it. But you know, the entire NFL, and we'll get to this in a minute. The entire NFL seemed to have soured on Shedur Sanders, so moving up to get Carter, to get Dart was understandable and a very shared perspective. Then they got a DT, Alexander, out of Toledo. This looks like an awesome player. He has time to grow into that position because they don't have to rush him out there. And I think the steal of the draft for the Giants is Cam Skateboo.
Scatterboo.
Running back at I like Skateboo. I just like Skateboo. His name at Arizona State. The guy reminds me of Ahmad Bradshaw.
Really?
Well, let
I think he's
the
a steal.
show. Let
I
the
think he's
record show when we drafted Cam Scatterboo,
Skateboo.
one E said meh.
Who? He said who?
I don't use meh.
Well, it
Don't
wasn't
say
that. It
meh.
was like, oh, it's what he said. He said it's what's the word? He's a
Value pick, a value pick at a value
bottom.
position.
It was a depth piece, and you know,
Yeah.
not
Yeah, well, because they don't need him to carry the ball 40 times. He can carry the ball 15 times.
but every team, the majority, especially every good team, has a two-pronged attack. Heck,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. They don't need him on every down.
but they don't need him. He does the perfect. He plays the perfect position. He plays the perfect
Yep.
forward to Tracy. And if Tracy can't handle it, I think Scatterboo is probably
I listen. Tracy was a big surprise yesterday as to how well he played. He's a great compliment to Tracy, who I think is going to have a breakout year as long as the offensive line helps them. And Skatsboo, whatever his name is.
Call him by his-
I like Skateboo. He right now, the way he plays, running through walls, you don't need. Who knows how long he's going to last? It'd be good to limit his carries in the first year, especially. And rumor has it that they were debating in the 4th round whether to take Marcus Mabo, offensive guard from Purdue.
well, Mabo was a great pick in the 5th round actually because he had a second round, talent base. The only problem is we've heard, and again, all this is, I mean, I guess sh- short arms, whatever the hell that means. I mean,
It's
so
not long enough, man.
Yeah, but
so
you
they say. I mean,
you can argue the round 3, 4, and 5 picks were outstanding picks that these kids should not have been there. They
No,
were
right?
great hire by everybody. University, they were
don't
great.
forget. Also, the Giants were able to get these guys because we're terrible, and we had high picks in the third, fourth, and fifth round.
Yeah, but a lot of them they thought would be around before.
That's
Regardless,
right.
you got
Yeah.
fantastic value at the positions that they picked, and all of them have almost an immediate impact and need.
All right, and then let me ask you guys
Yeah.
this: do you think that the trade that was made by the Browns and the Jaguars, do you think that affected the Giants having being able to draft Carter?
No, they were gonna.
Basically, you said they said there was no
Go,
trade. Do you think that Carter would have been available to the Giants at three?
yeah, I think Hunter was gonna go. It mattered what team was gonna pick second. I think he was gonna go second, regardless.
I'm not sure. I
I'm
think
not sure about that. Carter's the best player in the
Carter
draft.
would have went second. I think the Browns made a great trade. Obviously, I mean they got
Oh, they stole. I mean, that was the steal century.
That
and
was that was a steal.
so
That's
I think
what they asked for and what they got.
so, which is crazy. I mean, stuff in. I mean, look, Hunter's a great player, arguably the most talented player, along with Carter. But that kind of haul, I don't know if I would have done that for a non-quarterback. That's crazy.
I stood by this. Hunter's a great talent, but with great risk comes great reward. Reward and risk. If he gets hurt because he's going to play 100 snaps, you're going to lose a wideout and a cornerback.
Well, right now is Hunter the number one receiver in Jacksonville?
No, that other kid's awesome.
Exactly. But Brian Thomas Jr. I think his name is right.
He is freaking awesome.
So you're talking about you gave away a bevy of draft capital for this number two receiver, who also, as they mentioned, may play on some defensive, some nickel packages or whatever else, but that he's going to be primarily a wide receiver.
I mean,
Now,
don't underestimate the need for him on special teams because he has that athletic ability,
of
and
course,
you're going to overuse this guy. Which you know what, to his detriment is you don't know where to use him because he could theoretically be used everywhere.
the way I see it like this, I think it's the same thing. I mean, and then compared to Otani to a degree, I think the first couple of years he's going to play both, and then as the years progress, he's going to play the other one less and less until he specializes and becomes just a straight wide receiver. The gimmick will be over, but give it 2 or 3 years at max.
No, I get it. Listen, but the way it went down, the Giants had no choice but to do what they did, and he was a good no choice to have.
Yeah, you know what, however way that Cleveland did what they did, as much as they gave up, I think it was to our benefit. I would have preferred Carter. I liked him better, except for Cam. Would have liked Cam for obviously we weren't getting him. But I would have wanted Abdul Carter first because I still think you win championships getting to the quarterback and protecting the quarterback. It happened to the Giants twice in recent memory when they were able to get to the quarterback and protect the quarterback. You can we have a stud wide receiver. Obviously, we don't need another one in the first round right now. We need depth. We need a number two. I don't think I would rather have an edge rusher, and I think those guys are. Carter is going to be a potential generational player at that position.
I mean, look, did they need Carter over a receiver? Probably not, but at his level. At his level of talent, I think it superseded it jumped off the page. So I get it. So I'm fine with it. Now, trading back into the first round, for what they gave. They had the extra pick. It actually wasn't bad, especially when there were rumors, believe it or not, I don't know, rumors about the Rams. I've read reports saying confirming that, and I've read reports saying that they were trying to fool the Giants. Again, who the hell knows the truth? But there was rumbling. There was rumor that they were going to go even up to 16. Thankfully, they did not, because there would have been even more capital would have traded, and I think they played it perfectly. Now, for me personally, here is where we get into Shedur, at least for a little bit before we get to the rest of the draft picks. I would take a Shedur. Sorry, I think that Shador's talent is better than Jackson Dart's. He is better prepared for the game, for talent wise. I'm not talking about his head, his attitude, or anything else. I'm talking about physically. He is a better quarterback than Jackson Dart right now. That's it.
That may all be true.
Okay.
Although I will say this, I think Jackson Dart is more mobile.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's more of a scrambler. Yes, he.
And I think that's important in this NFL right now. You need to be able to move a little bit. You can't be like a Tom Brady because you don't have a brain at this point. You need to learn, which is number two. I don't think Shadur Sanders is coachable in the NFL at that level where he'll become great.
I mean, who knows?
He's never been coached by anybody other than his father.
That's a good point. Now, we'll never know because he got some bad advice. But we'll get into that. We'll get into the whole Shedur thing deeper.
Well, okay. We'll get into that
in
the first round.
Yeah.
Once New Orleans passed on a quarterback, forget about all the names, a quarterback, your head was scratching a little bit. And then we're at 9, right? As we get to Pittsburgh, who was the next glaring whole quarterback needy team. And that shocked me more than a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we're doing this. All right, let's do this. Okay.
For Pittsburgh to just pass on everybody who's a quarterback, I had to scratch my head like, what's going on here?
Well,
leave the door open. And like Izzy said, Pittsburgh, the next big thing everybody was hearing was the LA Rams. They weren't needy, but there were a lot of rumblings. And you know what to say during this time of year. Trust nobody.
Of course.
Trust nobody here. Every team is out for themselves, understandably so.
It's lying season. You can't trust anybody. But even if they did, even if the Rams did bluff the Giants, think about how much they gave up. They gave up basically a comp pick, a third-round pick. It might be a high comp pick. I'll grant you that. But what? By 30 players at that level, you're splitting some hairs. You might get a steal, but you'll never know.
If you get the quarterback you want, then if it works out, then it works. Then hey, and look, and if it doesn't work out, you're gonna suck anyway. So you be there anyway. So
next year's 1 or 2. So that was a good thing.
Right.
So you cannot untangle Shedur from the conversation. So when the Giants traded up, I was actually in E's house. And I was like, oh my God, I think this is where they're going to pick Shedur. I thought this was going to happen. Like, you heard that all week, that they were going to trade back. They had the
we stood up and we said, this is the second pick in the first round. That was the only reason why I would watch it anyway, but that was the moment I was waiting for the whole day. I mean, it wasn't very long. It took about an hour, but the third pick I was less interested in than I was towards the end of the first round. When I saw trade alert, I'm like, that's it.
And
that's it.
Both of us were honestly stunned that it wasn't Shedur.
I'm a little surprised.
I was like, whoa. Now, not floored because they picked Joe Schmo off the street, but out of the names you were hearing, Tyler, Show, Shedur, Jackson Dart, even Milroe, I thought Shedur was the front runner of them all because we weren't privy to a lot of that info, though.
No, we
Right?
weren't.
Well, we did learn towards the end of the week, right before the draft, a couple of days before the draft, we did learn, and there were a lot of discussions about this, about Sanders falling into the second.
We did know for sure that the Giant camp was divided. Some liked Shador, some liked Dart. And if what we did not know was that Dable was firmly in the Dart category because Shador showed up unprepared. They got into it.
Combative, combative.
Yeah, they got into it. He was combative, and obviously that was a no. And according to obviously the coach, if the coach says no, it's a obviously Shane has I guess a higher whatever, but they chose not to. Which
Well, Shane wanted Carter, and he got Carter, and then he moved up, a la that movie, The Draft. He moved up and got what the coach wanted. So the GM got what he wanted, and the coach got who he wanted without having to give up virtually anything, in my humble opinion. A third round is a nice player where you can get a lot of value, but you get comp picks around that round too, near the end of the third. So it just depends on where you fall. If you're a better team, it's a comp pick. If you're a high team, okay, oh well. If it works out, it's a quarterback.
If we stick to football, we'll get into the other stuff later. If we stick to football, yes, let's do the comparison. Jackson Dart's got legs. Shedur really doesn't. Shedur doesn't have the same arm.
He's a pocket passer. I mean, he's way more accurate than Dart or Milroe or Show or any of them. He broke the record. He threw over 71% completion rate. All right. He played a bunch of big teams, and he played better against big teams than Dart. Dart played bad against big teams. Okay, and he played bad against freaking Kentucky. All right. So let's all keep things in perspective here. All right.
Right. In the same perspective, Shedur got sacked a ridiculous amount of times.
Yes, but he had the worst offensive line of any big team in the nation.
Yes, but then there's also a quick decision question, right? You're processing too, like, hey, get rid of the damn ball.
Okay, and if you saw the coaches thing where you were Gruden when he had Jack Dart there, Dart doesn't even know how to he does this all the fucking time. He does,
Well, that's up to the coach. They're gonna fix that. They're gonna change that.
And
Dable is not having him clap.
And he self said that he doesn't slide. So
right, he will. He will.
So you're talking about a project, albeit a talented one. You're talking about a project.
Yeah, but they have time. They have time. They don't need to rush him in. And I have to say, no matter the physical comparisons between the two, all those things are objective, and some of it is subjective. But right now, so far as we have heard, and this seems to be universal, so this is more objective, he's not that coachable. And no, I don't care how great physically you are, if you're not coachable, and you can't take some criticism from your coach, good luck in New York. Good luck anywhere else in the NFL, but good luck in New York. So he can have the best arm, he can have the best physical traits elsewhere, speed, maneuverability, things of that sort. But if you can't coach him, he's not any good to you.
I mean, if that's the case, then obviously I cannot. That's the one point I can't argue that point. I was just retorting back to Raka when he mentioned about the physical abilities of Dart as opposed to Shedur.
But let's be honest, this was a really weak draft where the second quarterback went in near the end of the first round, where in other drafts you have 3, sometimes 4 in the top 10 or 15.
Oh, of course. You have the third quarterback taken was Tyler Show, who's 26 years old, who has 2 major knee surgeries, and then you had Milroe, who is beyond the project, super talented, super athletic, but the dude, I mean, can barely hit the side of a barn, and the other guy, supposedly 5'10" and 190 pounds, which is complete BS. He's probably closer to 5'8" and 160. He's smaller than Kyler Murray.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Well, that's why the whole point was you have Cam Ward here
Hmm.
and everybody else. Because one has different weaknesses and strengths than the other, but everybody else is like day two.
No matter what no matter where you rank Jackson Dart at this point, what we learned also post draft was that they will like them since January over Shedur. That was
Probably
before
before that.
that well, I don't know if any of this is true, but I can't I tend to believe it.
I
That
did
was before the interview.
I did
That was
see.
before the interview took place.
My
His dog,
guess is that the interview. Sorry to cut you off. My guess is that the interview. Remember the last that when they went to go see Shidor again a week before. That probably was the last hurrah. Give this kid a chance. Let's see what happens, and maybe that's when this went down.
Hmm. But they played it up nice though. If assuming for the moment they were leaning towards Dart
Right.
in January, then Shane played it perfectly. He made everybody think Shador was it. Everybody. They had the Giants taking Shador.
we all thought that.
Well,
No, but because of their behavior.
about a week ago, yeah. I mean, yeah, they did. Now,
So
well, like his son tweeted Jackson Dart's picture. I mean, at that point, who cared? But I mean, you know.
well, listen, it's better than what's his name? Olberg? What's his name?
Oh well,
Yeah.
that we can get into that. And find out that he also
Apparently, those phone numbers were sent to about 2,000 people in
and
the
he
NFL.
also called Carter also.
He wasn't the only one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, Sanders wasn't the only one who was pranked, and it actually happened in prior years too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just blew up now
Well,
because for obvious reasons,
he's
that
exactly.
this was a big deal, especially everyone expected Shador, even though, dude, Cam Ward to this day, to my knowledge, is probably the least talked about number one pick overall in the history of
Mhm.
the NFL draft.
Yeah, and you know what? I bet you he likes it too.
Oh, it's fantastic for him and for the Titans. They're loving this.
I mean,
Hmm.
That
all
circus in Cleveland is gonna be. It's gonna be. I wish that they did freaking Hard Knocks. That would be
oh
chef.
yeah, no, that that would be must see TV.
You know. So
No, but all talks, Cam Ward is a very humble in business. Let's get to business kid. I heard him in some interviews. It's hard to not fall in love with the kid. He's all football, all team. He's dedicated. He's appreciative. He's the anti, if you will, the anti Shador.
I mean, and the haul that they wanted when the Giants asked was pretty crazy. I think like two number ones they wanted.
But
Yeah.
the
So
last,
what does that tell you? That tells you that despite our concerns about keeping Shane, which I was, and I at the end thought, okay, listen, you got to fire these guys at this point because they may act desperately and overreach for that quarterback and give up too much for that quarterback. Shane didn't do that. Shane acted like a GM that cares about the Giants 2, 3, 4 years from now by not giving the Titans what they asked for what was essentially the only quarterback that anybody really wanted in the draft at this point. And we could say that now in hindsight, but that ended up being almost true until the end of the first round, which is not where you expect the second quarterback in the draft to be taken.
No,
no,
no.
crazy.
I mean, in normal years, the Saints would have had a quarterback. The Steelers would have had a quarterback, probably, and then that's how it probably would have been. But again, it's so. I mean, we can get back to Shador. Let's finish up the rest of our picks, and then we'll get back to the Shador debacle.
Yeah,
Uh,
so the last thing I'll say about Dart is,
but
the little that I've seen of him, and I did go back and watch a little bit of the tape. He does have quite a bit of good timing. That's important in the NFL. He has, I think, very good touch. And you
Pretty deep.
know, what's that?
He throws a pretty good deep ball.
I mean, he also
Yeah, but he's particularly accurate, and this may sound obvious, but it's not in the NFL because the timing matters. Between 10 and 20 yards is where really big small plays can turn into big plays. And that's where, or you get picked for that matter.
well,
And
especially
that's where he has the best timing and the touch at
yeah.
this point.
especially with someone like Neighbors and even Robinson and these guys who are big yard after the catch guys. That's where you can take a 10-yard slant and take it to the house. So which is fine.
This is my only issue with Shane's offseason drafting. That he addressed everything I believe very well, except for another wide receiver.
Yeah, their wide receiver crew is weak.
With Darius Slayton, the return of Slayton.
I am not. That's
God.
Yeah, we know that's about all they have right now.
Well, I mean, hey, Jalen Hyatt, let's go.
I think the story for the Giants with Hyatt is done. I have no idea why he's still
Well, I
around.
mean, obviously, I mean, maybe he had who knows, maybe him and Dart can share a pizza together, and maybe what they
So what? Is Robinson the number 2 at this point?
no, it's Slayton, obviously.
He's in the slant all the time. He's in the slot.
And Wandell, I mean, but at the same time, I mean, hey, I'm expecting big things. I mean, if you're fully healthy, I'm expecting 800 yards and
Yeah.
6 pounds. I mean,
But they may actually become perhaps a slightly more running team with a running threat, and that'll open up.
No, they're going to do a lot more of the run pass option. They're going to see how this new kid fits in. They're going to Tracy, and now you got Russell. Russ can throw a deep ball, not as much as before, but he manages the game much better.
Oh yeah, but I'm not worried about the deep ball right at this point because I don't know that they can protect him right now. So you're gonna have to rely on your 10 to 20 yard.
That's why I think they could have used one more offensive weapon. Now,
I mean, we'll get there.
boo.
Rookie. I don't see him getting that many quality snaps in the beginning.
You're out of your mind.
All right, well, we're skipping a guy.
This guy's going to start. This guy's gonna be. He's gonna probably have, I'd say, 1,200 all-purpose yards.
All right, we skipped the guy. We skipped Darius Alexander.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. Darius Alexander.
I mean, if you wanted to compliment, because what's his name gets double teamed all the time. I get it. You want to put him up or at least stop the freaking run. It's been a sieve.
Well, all right. So that and in that regard, Alexander is one of the better pass rushers in the draft. I think he's a top 5 position player, but an even better DT for the pass rush. And a lot of mock drafts had him in the first round. He's a top 30 play overall, and they ended up getting him in the third round. So
5.
It's crazy.
Late third round.
Yeah, so
early third round.
I think it's a great pickup. I think it's gonna, it's gonna help the pass rush tremendously. It's gonna help out Sexy Dexy, and at the same time, we always have Micah in the background, just pick up the pieces.
Yeah, that's a smart move. They're addressing that position of need with depth too, because if he's not a starter immediately, because you could see that he might not be, he comes in for depth, and he can learn in the position without having to worry that he can't come out.
We also got the kid from Dallas who, if healthy, is pretty damn good as well. Golden, I think his name.
Golston?
Yeah, Golston. There you go. So we have
the secondary, which was another issue.
If he's healthy, if the kid is healthy from Miami, right? If that kid is healthy, then it should be good.
Yeah, Holland, the safety, and then we got the cornerback Adabu.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So if he's healthy, he should be good. You bring Banks to a different on the backup, and then you have Phillips and the other kid. Oh boy, I'm in baseball brain right now. You know what I'm talking about.
The whole point. I think the thrust of the Giants defense, the thrust of the Giants identity will be the defense. The offense will come along because I don't think they have full complement of pieces, and we still have to see how this line holds up. Why is Thomas always hurt every year? He's all pro, but it doesn't matter if you're not on the game.
What up?
You know, you said we're going to move Neal to guard, so that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be successful at guard.
Yeah, but he
You know,
and I'm not downplaying guard as opposed to tackle. Guard, great guard is very good.
I know, but it's still projection. He's never played there.
But if he can be like respectable at guard,
It's a hope and a prayer until we see it in action. How about the center?
he's been disappointed.
Over him. I don't think
Talk to us, E. I mean, he's been disappointing. Schmidt should. I expect him should be better.
This is his year to break out at this point because it's either this year or I don't see it happening.
it's make or break because, like you said, and we all know, Shane's on the hot seat, Dable's on the hot seat. And it all kind of starts with the center. He's got to snap that ball. He's got to make his reads too. He's got to be in concert with the rest of the line.
Yeah. Illuminor can't be our best offensive.
He's their all-star.
That's what I'm saying. But he can't. I mean, he's very good, but he wasn't you expect to be an add-on last year, and yet he was our best guy. Thomas be there, Illuminor, Van Rooten, Runyon, Neal, Schmitz. These guys have to gel.
That was the question.
Don't forget that Schmitz's value is high. He was a second-round pick overall.
Yeah, but it means now this is his third year. Come to play, and come to play correct. You know, by and large, the offensive line has returned with a few sub pieces, rotational pieces.
Right.
But they chose to pick their big money paydays on the defense.
Right.
Oh, that right now they're considered a defensive team.
And that's fine with me because all that matters wins.
Yeah, I mean, and the offensive line wasn't that bad last year, all things considered. But
they weren't great either.
Wow, it seemed like patchwork at times.
Yes.
The reality is Schmitz has been god awful for a second round pick. He's near the bottom, and
that's
yeah. Well, look, I mean, Embo, how do you pronounce it?
Embo.
I mean, hey, look, if Neal can't cut it, obviously he's going to be the guy.
But again, he's a round rookie. Very rarely on the O line, unless you're a first round tackle, are you starting?
But why can't at this point you don't think he can outplay Neal at this point?
It's not me. I'm talking about
has good footwork. He has great power. The only thing he's got T-Rex arms, but besides that, he should have went higher.
It's not just all about that. You know that in the pro game, now you got to digest the whole double phone book playbook. And the O-line doesn't play one-on-one. It's a unit.
It's a
blocking scheme.
So
it's blocking schemes.
Oh, no.
What?
Carry on.
It's a unit. A unit. Anyway, that's how the draft affects. I mean, they've got a whole bunch of undrafted free agents like they do every year. Not too many, if any. I mean, a lot of his special teams contributors. Maybe there's a diamond.
Now, let me mention. I was going to mention it when E mentioned the tight end before that he thought there was kind of a so pick. You guys probably know this already. He was recruited higher than Brock Bowers. He was better than Brock Bowers.
I heard that because of his speed and catching ability, and he played most of the time with his hand on the ground this year. So he can also block, apparently.
Exactly. So just saying, obviously, two knee surgeries, and now he 6'5", 6'5.5", 240 is not too shabby. He needs to bulk up, and if he can, I guess they're gonna probably use him more. I think this is Bobby Bellinger. He's gonna probably be more of a blocking tight end who runs crisp routes and has good hands.
Can he line up as a wide X?
I mean, they project him for like a Zach Ertz type. Just saying.
That's phenomenal. A 7th-round pick that could be Zach Ertz.
No way.
I mean, if all goes well, of course. I mean, it's not,
Yeah, and then the last pick,
Corey Black.
he's got speed. He's a project. In a pinch, if people go down, you hope he can be as adept and special teams. Because I heard he blocked a couple of punts and stuff.
Hey man, speed kills. You can't. I mean, you can't teach speed. You have it or you don't. So
he is definitely a project. I didn't even know who he was, and because he wasn't at the combine, his name didn't sound familiar at all. And he's a reach at this point. They probably could have got him in an undrafted free agent. So at that point, it doesn't matter.
What matters is the elephant in the room. We don't have.
He was almost Mr. Irrelevant though. He was picked 30 in the seventh round. So he's what, 2 picks off of Mr. Irrelevant?
Who's our kicker?
Who the hell knows?
It's important because if we're going to be a defensive team, 3 points is going to really matter.
What do you mean? What happened to Gano?
They actually invited somebody into an undrafted kicker.
Gano's on a boat heading back to Europe. What are you talking about?
I saw the list of those they invited. Lots of wide receivers.
They go rock wide receivers. Just for you.
Lots of wide receivers. And then they had a kicker there too. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't even know at this point because it could be somebody. It could be this no-name kicker. Who knows? Nobody gets drafted as a kicker in the NFL unless you're like
There was a kid who got drafted. He's like 70 yards.
The kid who was drafted to Baltimore of all places. Okay.
Go figure. This guy, Black. He borders on Mr. Irrelevant. We'll say he could have been undrafted at this point.
We're an average backup / or special teamer. Now look,
if he even makes the team,
that's just rude. That's just rude.
He might not. He is effectively an undrafted free agent. It might have actually been better for him not to be drafted because then he could have went where he wanted.
Okay. We've had a preliminary side discussion, me and Ian, but we're going to go around the room here. After the draft now, after free agency, this is 90% of basically what the team is going to be composed of. What is the win-loss record for the 2025-26 New York Giants? Let's start with E.
The grade for this year?
No, the record.
Oh, the record. We're doing over-under?
So we'll see you in 2028.
We're doing over-under? I would say, before the draft, I would have said 4 games. Now I'll say 6.
I said 6 before the draft.
Then you say what after?
6. They're rookies. All right. I believe more than you believe. I'm going to channel my own what's his face. I believe. I'm going with 7.
Okay, so you moved up 1. I moved up 2. Listen, if they win 7 games, which is obviously only 1 game off 6, I still think if you're 1 or 2 off, it's still a huge improvement. If you're at 7, they're not firing these guys at 7.
Is it enough?
With the teams they're playing? With the teams they're playing, yeah, it's enough.
He's lost.
Dude, I think y'all crazy. I mean, I had him at 4 wins, maybe if we're lucky to get 4.
Well, look, think about how difficult but if they win 6, right? Think about first off how difficult the NFC East is.
I say if everything hits all cylinders, maybe they get 6, but I'm leaning more towards 5. I'm taking
you're at 5, E is at 6, I'm at 7. 5, 6, 7.
Pretty much.
I'm balanced. I'm balanced.
I mean, maybe perfectly imbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you want to give a 5 minute Shedorathon, or should we leave it as is?
What's there left to say? He is his management team, which composed of himself and his dad,
Yeah,
sunk him. They
I
just,
agree.
Oh, yeah, god awful.
Yeah,
Even Shiloh. You hear what whatever the hell that guy's name is?
Kylo.
yeah,
The
that's his other son, and even he he's now distanced himself from the family. He got himself an agent. He was undrafted free agent, I think by Tampa, and he didn't say too much. Of course, that's family. He's not gonna do him in, but his actions show enough of like,
well,
hey,
he said it. He actually said it on camera
I heard.
that he's getting an agent. That this hasn't worked out very well with the way they've been doing it.
Listen, he's in a tough spot. What's he gonna say?
I mean, look.
He's also 25 years old and it has declared bankruptcy and got sued 100 times.
And
So
you know what? That's all fine and dandy. That has nothing to do with football. Okay.
no, but my point is, I don't need you being distracted. You're an undrafted free agent. Get out. I have no problem cutting you.
Dude, but
None.
that's the thing. But odds are the fact that he's gonna probably
He's
at,
gonna end up in the CFL.
at best, yeah, exactly. At best, he'll be a special teamer. At
Oof,
worst,
at
at
best.
worst, he'll be in the CFL/UFL/Arena League
Oh,
slash
well, yeah. If even he might be an assistant coach in Colorado.
as a star player there, trying to get back into the league. I
And,
mean,
and what's this with Shador? Is Shador's name getting retired and number retired at Colorado? What's with
yeah,
that?
that's one thing I can't excuse. That's kind of crazy. I mean, look, I don't know the full history of Colorado football to see if he's even worth, if there's any better players that could have been retired. I think it's premature. I think it's kind of foolish. But if they want to do it, you know, God
Whose
bless.
number gets retired as soon as they leave the school?
Well, I mean,
Who?
it goes back to the decisions that were made by Dion and the
It
man.
was a contract. It was in their contract to retire his number.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of, I wouldn't.
Well, it goes hand in hand that he's legendary.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, speaking of
He's
legendary.
he's definitely legendary. His fall from the top of the draft, potentially number one, all the way down.
It still
Oh
doesn't
wow.
excuse what the NFL did, and it's almost say about it. NFL was wrong to the point where a bunch of GMs and a bunch of owners told the GMs take them off the board was wrong, regardless of the
But
fact
they're,
that's wrong.
but they're still employers. They get to say that. They don't want to deal with the
Which they
Sanders family. They don't.
was wrong. Now they can do and say whatever they want. It was wrong.
Why was it wrong?
Why was it wrong? Because it wasn't
He's
based.
not
It
coachable.
wasn't based on that. Now look, it's their prerogative, to not draft him 100%. Okay, they're private entities, it's a private company. They're all their own thing, but it was a decision not based on talent. It was based on whatever. Now, is Shador at fault? Yes. Was it messed up? I think so. That's it.
Well, this is my thought. I thought about this. That's why it's a good thing we have this conversation a week after it happened or 5 days after it all happened. Less and less, I thought it was for the very beginning. I thought it might very well be collusion, but after it sat with me, the owners really don't hate each other that. They don't love each other that much. Look at Jerry Jones, perfect example. But without being said, it was a growing majority feeling of individual owners who just didn't think the juice was worth it for their team, for the makeup, the atmosphere, the tone, whatever. Because every team has different. Not every team, even less teams this year than last year, needed a quarterback.
Dude, I'm
So
sorry.
it,
You can
Okay,
argue
bottom
Jackson Dart
line,
and Shador.
you
You cannot argue me a guy who has two bad knees, who's 26 years old, over Shador. No,
but no, you
no,
tell me. Okay,
no, that is insane.
you're saying it's wrong. You tell me Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, who has a glaring need for court. They don't even sign Rodgers yet.
No, but I'm talking about
Right?
the teams that chose quarterbacks before Shador.
Why did they
That's
even
what I'm
pass?
talking about.
Why did they even pass on him?
And then you tell me. So what ended up happening? So Cleveland really thought that Gabriel was better than Shador, and then he said, "You know what? He's such a value. We should pick him up and waste another draft pick on a second quarterback." That's pretty freaking fishy, man. That sounds like they wanted to get Shador before, and they were told not to get Shador before. Let him wait a little while longer. Maybe he's more humble now.
Good.
So, okay, let's say that's their prerogative. That's their thought process. So, what's wrong with that?
It's wrong. It's wrong. You could do it. It's wrong. It's messed up. It's messed up.
All right. So
Dude,
what I
if
think is
you
more messed up is that the Sanders family screwed this up so bad.
if you're an owner of
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Yes, they didn't. They
oh,
screwed the pooch big time.
if you're the owner of the team, you're saying, "Oh, I should just pick him up because he's Shedeur Sanders."
No, I'm not saying that. But
Oh, okay.
but
You
explain to me the thought process of the Cleveland Browns, dude. Explain that to me. That makes
know,
no fucking sense.
I'm process of them making two quarterbacks. Now I have five. I can't tell you what is going on in that team at all. But I could tell you is this: if it's one team, two teams, it's their personal dislikes, it's whatever. Why is it a common theme throughout? There had to be something else big there instead of just a
Of course, they were told not to draft him.
oh by whom? Goodell?
Come on, not Goodell. No, God forbid Goodell. And Goodell has to get all his hugs in. You know what I mean, and all the handshakes. So not Goodell.
If a particular general manager and owner was told by their owner tells the GM to not draft this kid, don't.
No, obviously, look
You're,
again. You
you're an owner. You want to pick that guy for your team. You don't like him for whatever
and it's
he's
fine, but my opinion is that I think it was messed up. Now it's in their inherent right as the owners of the team to do what. Heck, if they want to just draft guys with polka dots, they can draft guys with polka dots. You know what I mean? But it wasn't on the up and up. That's my opinion. You know.
we can only go by because they're not going to divulge everything, but we can only go by a lot of supposedly.
Hey, the Dord did no favors for himself. He only wanted to go. He only wanted to interview with the top five teams. He went. He went and had his headphones on. I mean, he was very aloof and heck, picked whatever. I mean,
Shouldn't we, rather than saying it's wrong not to draft him higher, shouldn't we not only consider his physical talents but his adaptability to the NFL? And then praise the teams for realizing that he misses probably the most critical skill there is, coachability. And in this NFL, where players out of college have a lot more control because of NIL, he is the perfect poster child for sit down, shut up. We don't give two shits about you. This is the NFL. We'll roll over you. So I rather than say it's wrong, I say I put all of the blame on the Sanders family for screwing their son out of an opportunity to make $11 million rather than whatever he's making now as $1 million, I think, as the fifth round pick.
Because he's a millionaire already. He was born a millionaire.
That's fine. But you know what? That $10 million a year still means something. Guarantee it, right?
No, the NFL.
You can't be legendary broke.
It cost whatever he did. The family did cost him $30 million over the life.
That's what I mean.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, Shedur will start for Cleveland, in my opinion. And Eck, look, I'm a Giants fan, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think Shedur's
I'm not rooting against him. I don't care as long as he doesn't play the Giants. I root for him. I don't care.
Shedur will be better than Jackson Dart. I hope I'm wrong, but be better. And that's all I got to say on that topic.
My only thought with Dart is, let's say he doesn't progress well. I'm not against going after quarterback next year either.
Well, no, we're going to be bad enough to be. And
yeah, it won't be these guys.
No, but I mean, but potentially probably someone better than Dart. I mean, or at least more talented, possibly.
They're not. Listen, if these guys are still around next year, and they pick a quarterback in the first round, they shouldn't be back. They should be fired immediately.
It doesn't matter who's in charge. If they're that bad, of course there's going to be a new regime change, and of course you're going after your quarterback. And let's see what the college landscape looks like next year. But with that said, my personal opinion, Jackson Dart it's who they wanted. I do not personally view him as a generational talent.
And who they wanted. They wanted Cam Ward. Let's not forget that. They wanted Cam Ward. They were happy with Dart. Okay?
But this is the NFL.
They wanted
not BK. You can't have it your way.
Washington wasn't going to give him away.
I know.
So what means nothing?
They got their quarterback. They got their quarterback. They drafted him. They got him. Now I want to see results.
There you go.
I don't care. I don't care how you got him. I don't care whether he was number 2 on the board. I don't care.
All right. One final thing before we sign off. We go around. Is Dart. Will Dart play this year?
Yeah, I think he plays near the end of the year because they will be playing relatively meaningless games. No, they're going to want to see this guy.
Second question: what does that do with Russell Wilson?
Oh, he's a loner. I'd say 2 years. Russell Wilson is obviously on his way out, but I think they have him for 2 years, right? Is that right?
No, 1 year in the option.
Right, but it's a team option, so they can keep him for 2 years. So, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, Russell Wilson, we want to see this guy play near the end of the year." Nothing wrong with that.
So okay, Rocco.
Yeah, I think he plays this year, but it's only because they suck so bad. If he's doing well, I don't think he sees the field.
All right. E says towards the end. What do you say? Same or earlier?
I think it depends. If they're doing well, he doesn't see the field.
Oh yeah, but right, but they're not going to do well. This is murderer's row of teams that they're playing. So
I'd say by mid-season.
Yeah, I say that by game 8 he's gonna be starting.
I say by game 12.
The game 8 is gonna be starting, and I think they're going to give Russell Wilson a chance to, if he wants to release or to get it on the team. I don't think he's gonna stick around. I think that'll be Jameson. That'll be Jameis Winston to continue the
by week 13, this guy will be in there.
Yeah. All right. So good.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think. As usual, obviously this was a little heated in it with the whole Shedur thing, but all good. Let us know what you guys think as far as the Shedur situation is concerned. What you guys thought of the Giants draft. Overall, we enjoyed it, and obviously E did not like the 2022 draft. So that being said, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm Izzy.
I'm Rocco.
I'm Skate Boo.
Oh, good God. And save the whales, but more importantly, let's go Knicks. Can you finish this tonight?
I smell a game 7. I hope not, but
yeah.
If it goes 7, it's over.
If
it goes to game 7, I hope they lose.
Blasphemy. Let's go Knicks. Take care, everybody.
Bye.